Hello, welcome to Tech Transform. Today we are here to discuss about Apache Kafka. Let's discuss about what is Kafka. So far we have discussed about processing data on Hadoop cluster, sitting already there or in any database. But we haven't talked about how this data come there. We already did all this process manually. We manually load the file into HDFS. But let's say this is a massive big data environment. There a lot of data is generating on a real-time basis. If you want to real-time process this data, how will you get that? That's the problem. So Apache Kafka will give you some set of mechanism that how can you get your data in real-time uh, basis, and you can actually produce those data to your cluster, and you can actually save those data in real time, and maybe you can process your data real time also. So this is the logo of Apache Kafka. So that's come the streaming concept. Streaming concept is we have talked about historical how this big data sitting on SDFS, sitting on a database. We play with that. We did some analytics on that and process that data. But how does new data get into your clusters, right? There is a new log entries from, let's say if you have new logs entries from web servers that's coming in a real time way. There are new sensor data connected to a lot of IoT devices, that's data are also coming. If you have a stock exchange data, you're doing trading and you want the data as the data comes in, there the manual effort will not work. Here's the Apache Kafka will give you that solution. That's what this entire process is called, streaming of data. How you're going to stream the data as the data comes in. Streaming lets you publish the data in real time to your cluster, and you can process it in a real time as it comes in. That's also possible. So Kafka is a general purpose publish subscribe messaging system. Means it's a mechanism where you're publishing your message and somebody is consuming that message. So it's a way of publish and subscribe. Means you can publish your data, or somebody can subscribe or consume that data from the Kafka. Kafka servers, what it do, it can store all the informations as it comes in, and it will give you in a period of time. Let's say right now if some weblogs is getting generated, and it's Kafka is producing those data, it's taking as a data, it's taking as a source of data and producing it. But right now you're not consuming it, you're not ready to consume it, so it will store those data, and as you come in and as you start consuming that data, you will be getting that data in that order. So that's what the concept of publishers. Kafka consumers, what happens? Kafka consumers subscribe. It can subscribes to Kafka topics. Topics is like that. Let's say in a single Kafka server, you are producing lot of data for different application. Let's say in one set of app, you are getting that weblogs data. In another you are getting sensor data. In another you are getting some different data, live feeds of Facebook, let's say. So these three data, how you are going to isolate these three data. So they're the concept called topics. So topics will hold only those data which you are going to assign to that particular topic. It's a variable, or it's a space in a Kafka server where it is dedicated to a isolated work. It is not going to interfere with other topics. So topic is more focus on, it's related to a particular application or particular data you want to exchange over Kafka server. Sorry. A stream topic can have many different consumers, all with their own position in the stream maintained. So in a different consumers, different consumers are, some consumers want to consume weblog data, some consumer want to consume IoT streams of data. So that's for the different positions in their stream and maintain. And also it's not just for meant for Hadoop, it's a general purpose thing. You can integrate with any other system also. It's not meant for only Hadoop. Architecture, you can see this is the Kafka clusters, and the producers are as a real time it's pushing the data. Producer means pushing the data to Kafka server, and topics get those data and publish those data, and consumer, once consumer come, they can subscribe to the topic and they can get the data as the data comes in as a from producer to consumer. So source, it could be of multiple sources, either web server logs, Windows logs, IoT devices logs. How Kafka scales? Kafka also scales. The scaling of the Kafka happens like that. Let's say you have a multiple big data you are going to publish, and consumer is going to consume. So how has to scale. It cannot sit on a single machine, and it cannot do all this processing from a single machine. So Kafka scale like that. You can see this is the Kafka server, where some of the producers distributed to server 1, other producers of data, they distributed to server 2, and they are just publishing the data. Kafka cluster is just pushing all those data to consumer, so that consumer can subscribe and utilize those data. And also in consumer sections, you can see some consumers will belong to a different consumer group. Other consumers will can belong to a different consumer group. So let's say this P0 message gets published. It's published to, let's say, there a lot of data is coming. A lot of data is it's processing real-time data, and a lot of big data is coming. So some chunks of data it is sending to C3. C3 consumer, some chunks of data it's going to process C4. So it's parallelly, it can scale up to how the long your message is going to produce. So it can scale. So that's why it's also going to solve the big data problem, where we are getting millions of records in a minute, and consumers subscribe to this consumer group will get this data. If they want, if some data's let's say they mean to the data for C4, they will go and ask for the C4, and data will provide it to them. So there could be a chance that different consumer group have a separate groups. So let's say for this P0, some other consumer group also want this data. So this what Kafka cluster will do, it will create copy of this data and publish to both the different consumer groups who has just subscribed to that consumer group. So that's how it's a very important tool, where we solve the very main problem of how you're going to get the data in a real time and how you're going to process the data. So that's what all about in this video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.